Today I'm going to show you how to build an animated tombstone that looks like a skeleton is breaking out from the inside. The fake stone is cracked open in the center and you can see the skull shifting and moving, almost like it's really trying to escape. I'm a Halloween creator and all my props are handmade. And if you'd like to build this one for yourself, you can watch the full tutorial right here on my channel. So join me for this awesome tutorial. To begin making our animated tombstone, we need insulation foam board. Now, all the materials and all the items I use on this channel and on this video, I link in the description below. Just hit more and you'll see everything that I've purchased. Now, I'm not associated with these companies and I make $0 from these links. So I'm just putting these links to help you, the viewer, know exactly where I bought my items and what they are, what size they are. If you find it for a better price at a different location, then go for that one. It's there just for a guide to help you. Now, let's get our insulation foam board. We need the 4-foot by 8-foot section in diameter of 1 inch. Now go to Google Images and find the outline of a tombstone that you like. We're just going to be freehanding this, but if you have a projector, which I recommend, you put that image on the projector and then project it and then cut it out. But because tombstones look better when they're chipped and cracked and there's not perfect lines, we're just going to freehand this and cut it whatever we like. Then after that, we need some 2x4 wood. Get yourself one piece of board that's 8 foot long and we're going to cut it to make a frame. But let's start cutting the insulation foam board. Okay, so now I've cut my insulation foam board and this is 28 inches wide by 36 inches tall. But remember, you can cut it to whatever size you want, but this is how I'm doing it. Next, we need to print out whatever we're going to carve on the top. Now this is inverted, so it says RIP. We're going to use a Dremel tool to carve it to our board. Now, as I mentioned, I've done a tutorial on how to carve tombstones using a Dremel. It's super simple. So what I'm just going to do is get this paper, use some Elmer's washable glue. I'm going to rub the glue on the board. I'm going to put this on top so it sticks like that, and after about an hour, I'm going to use the Dremel tool to carve out the words. I'm going to put the link to that video in the description below because it's really detailed. Go check it out if you want to know how to do any style tombstone. So that's going to go up here like that. And then for the actual frame, we're going to be cutting 4 pieces of 2x4. You need 2 pieces at 25 inches and 2 pieces at 36 inches. And then just screw them together to make a rectangle shape, and then that'll be the frame. So let's get to it. And then get yourself some 2.5 or 3 inch screws, and we're going to just screw the ends right over here so that this can become the frame for the tombstone. So to make sure that our tombstone can stand outside in inclement weather and not blow over, we have these PVC pipes that we've cut to about 20 inches. Now this is 3/4 inch PVC pipe. You can also use 1/2 inch PVC pipe, but this is what I had. Cut them to 20 inches and we're going to stick them to the side like this. Why? Because we're going to drill 2 holes right here so that the PVC pipe can go through, and then in the yard you're going to put 2 pieces of rebar. You can get 2-foot rebar or even the 4-foot rebar. You're going to hammer the rebar into the ground, and then this is going to go over the rebar like that. The rebar will be hidden inside and this won't be able to be toppled over. So if you're using 3/4 inch PVC pipe, you need a 1 1/8 spade drill bit, and we're going to drill the holes right there and then right there, and then we have a couple of pipe straps over here that we're going to attach it like that. And this is what we have right here, the hole right here, PVC pipe, and we wanted to make sure that it hits the bottom so that the rebar can go through it. So for my props, I always just use the 2-foot rebar. I hammer it into the ground about 10 inches, and then there'll be enough pipe in here to hold this steady. All right, so whatever we're going to write out, let's print it out. This is Microsoft Word, and I'm using font 400. And if you have multiple words, you would just have to print out multiple pages, then cut them out and put them in whatever form you want. But this one is super small, super easy. We're going to find the middle, and it's going to be around the top. So let's put glue on the back of it first. And then put glue down on the actual board as well. And then this is going to go here, right along the middle. Make sure you pat it down really good. And then we're going to let this dry for about an hour. And then we're going to get our Dremel tool and carve this out. Now we're going to carve out our words using our Dremel tool. If you don't have a Dremel tool, get yourself one. You can do so much with insulation foam board, words, shapes, whatever you want. It's super fun. Once we carve it out, then we're going to rough up the surface to make it look like stone, maybe make some cracks. And then lastly, we're going to do the opening for the skull. So let's get to it. Wear a respirator or a mask and put some eye protection on. All right, so we've drawn our shape. We've drawn some crack lines over here. We're going to use a jigsaw to cut this out, but some of these cuts are really sharp. So if you can't get to it, that's perfectly fine because, for example, just cut like this, and then with your foam cutting knife or an X-Acto knife, you can come in with the details to get those nice details. But definitely use a jigsaw to cut out a rough shape like this. Then with your X-Acto knife, we're going to be using that one for this. Just get the knife along the crack on the right and the left side, just like this. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect because this is supposed to be weathered and not a perfect crack. Just like this. Just like that. And it doesn't matter if it's jagged or not, you just want to get that because we're going to rough it up a little bit more with a heat gun. We're going to come in and scrape the surface a little bit, but just like that is how we're going to do this entire thing. Once you're done with your cracks, this is what it should look like. So now we got to roughen up the surface, and we're going to do that with our heat gun. So get yourself a spray bottle, spray some water in the areas that you want it to be really roughed up, okay? Then we're going to get our heat gun and go over those areas until indentation occurs and it becomes rough. Make sure you're doing this outside or in a well-ventilated area. Be careful, don't go with the heat gun around your carved words or the cracks because it'll widen it and deform it too much. So just be careful. And then when you get what you're looking for, we're good to cut the middle out with our jigsaw or insulation foam knife. All right, once you've sprayed some water, use your heat gun and look what happens. Look at that, it makes indentations. Makes it look like it's weathered and aged, which is an awesome look that we're going for. All right, so this section here is what's going to hold the Reindeer motor. Now, we have a 1x6 piece of board. You could also use a 2x2 or a 1x4, but I had a 1x6 board that I've cut to about 7 or 8 inches. Then we need L brackets. These are 2-inch L brackets right here. You can get smaller ones, but I had 2-inch L brackets. We screwed it in nicely and we put this on the edge because this one, it has an arm and we don't want the arm to hit the front of the board. So make sure you give yourself enough clearance so it doesn't touch the board. So this one is going to go like this. I'm going to remove 2 of these screws and then just use some long screws to go into the wood so that this can spin like that. This plug right here is what's going to power the LED lights that we're going to stick around here. And then this cord is just going to come here on the back, and we're just going to put the backboard in just like that. No problem, comes out from the back. So this board over here, because this is so thick, it's hanging off the edge, which is totally fine because we're just putting a board no one can see in the back, so we'll be good. So let's do that, and then this can rotate. We can attach a spring or a wire. I'll show you that in a second. So I just realized that my phone wasn't recording while I was doing this part. No problem. I will explain to you what I did. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, but basically what we have here is a skull that we've cut in half. Just a regular plastic skull from a skeleton or from the Dollar Tree or Amazon. We've cut it in half with the jigsaw. It was super, super simple to just cut it out. We have a spring, and we have just a regular piece of wire. We have our Reindeer motor here that you saw us attach it already. But let me zoom in a little bit so you can see exactly what I did. It's super easy. It's super simple. And the motion will just be up and down. So let me show you. Okay, right here we have a hook that we just screwed into the top. And this one over here is actually a 9-inch, half an inch diameter spring. So it was a little bit too long, so we just curved it right in there. Then we put a piece of wire right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Right in here. See, we put a piece of wire. We did a little knot on the inside, and this wire, I did 2 holes right there. Bam, we attached it with that end right there. Super simple. And then we did the same thing here. See, the same wire, we just looped it around. I'm actually going to loop it tighter so it doesn't fall off of this little track right down here. And we did the same thing. We attached it to the bottom. Just drilled a little hole, put the wire through, and it's holding it in place like that. And that's simple. And now when we turn it on, it's going to go up and down. Now, when you put the cover on this, the front part of it, you can see this, which is a little bit annoying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some landscape fabric or black mesh or black cloth. I'm actually going to put it in the front first and then cut a hole through it so that there's like the black mesh and then the skull, and you can't really see these. That's what I'm hoping for. So let's get started. And this is the back side of it. See, let me zoom in a bit. We just tied them like this, and right here, hole through here on the outside, we tied it on the bottom, just so it can be held up like this. Alright, so now that we have it covered completely, you can trim the excess fabric from the side, but I want to see something first. We're going to put this on top just like that, and you can't see it on camera, but I can see the skull. So what we want to do is just cut jagged pieces so that you can't really see any of the mechanism that's holding up the skull. Cut jagged pieces here and there so the skull is slightly visible. But with the fabric in pieces, it'll slightly move when the skull moves, so I think it'll look really nice. One of the last steps we're going to do before we put the back panel is attach LED lights. Now, you can get any type of string LED lights, but these are multicolored and they have self-adhesive in the back. So all we're going to do is stick it to the inside corners all the way around. And the Reindeer motor we used has an extra plug actually, so you can plug something else in. So it's perfect for it to be plugged into that, so you only need one connection, and we'll do it. And once we're done, we can put the back panel on. To finish our prop, we're simply going to attach whatever piece we wanted on the top, and then we need to attach the front panel along with the back panel. So you could use screws and then cover them with moss or paint them over. You could use hot glue even to attach this, because we need to finish this off by applying Loctite foam. Loctite expanding foam is the only one that we can use in this situation because we need to mold it. So apply Loctite foam all over here, then immediately spray it with water. Wait about 5 to 7 minutes. Then begin patting it down to form it. You can do it after that time. And then you can shape it so it looks more like stone and not bulbous and bulky. We're going to do the same on the top and the same on the other side. Once you do all 3 sides, let it dry for an hour, a few hours. Then we can paint it the same color we did here and it'll be done. All right, it's been about 5.5 minutes now. We'll wet our hands and we'll gently touch it. If it doesn't stick to your hand, it's good to go. But if it sticks to your hand, you gotta wait. You have to wait. So we spray it once more and then we just start pushing it down. You can crunch it up, you can mold it somewhat. Doing this, I feel, gives it a more stone texture. So we'll do that to the entire thing. Pat it down like that. This side, we give it about 15 minutes to rest, 10 minutes actually, and then we can just turn it upright so we can do the top and then we can do the bottom, because this dries to the touch relatively fast, and then within an hour, we're good to go. And this is what it should look like once it dries. Bam. So now what we're going to do is use the same gray we painted the front, and we're going to paint the sides with, add a little bit of details, and this baby is ready to be put out.
Be sure to check out my 3 children's books, Oliver and the Lost Flame, Little Olive and the Wally Bat, and my newest book, The Ghost Who Dreamed of Flying, now available on Amazon.